Okay, I think that is working. Cool. Now I'm going to start recording the visuals. There we go. Nice. So this has been a hard video to make because every time I try, I've just gotten disheartened. Um, Last year I got fired twice. The second time I was pretty intentional about finding a company that seemed like it would be one that I could stay at for a while. Um, and I was very intentional about like going through the process to make sure we were on the same page. Um, this reminds me of my favorite joke, which isn't really my favorite because it's funny. It's my favorite because it's kind of funny. Um, so there are these two sheets of paper, right? And one of them says, "Okay, we're on the same page," and the other one says, "Yes." And it's funny because they're two different sheets of paper, and the idea of them being on the same page is like, in practical senses, impossible. But you know, there are other ways that they can reach understanding. So, in Paperland, it's probably not that big of a deal. Anyways, I am going to go over my cover letter that I wrote for Curology. And that has been hard to do because they're the second company that I got fired from. And I was really trying to have this be representative of same-pagedness. But just backing up, I have this other cover letter that I send. This is like the first version of the cover letter that I had. Boone is just the name that I use for all of them. Let's see, hello Boone. I like that word because it's good vibes. I say, "Hi Boone, let's chat soon. My name is Sam Washington and I'd like to apply for your position role. I've been a developer for 12 years and I spent most of my recent time, this updates, in TypeScript and React. I have experience developing, testing, and deploying accessible, responsive web applications across the stack." Oh, got the transition. "I have a GitHub account which has examples of projects I've worked on over the past few years. Project-wise, I spent the most time on a PHP framework and a programming language I developed. I've also recently taken a closer look at project architecture and data visualization." So PHP framework, that's SMPHP. It's the first foray into architecture that I had, developing applications using PHP, web applications, although it could be used for CLI components is what I said. Programming language, this is Swoop, which is probably the most interesting project that I have going on right now. These are like really technical, they're very dry descriptions of like the different constructs. Right now this is the parser. I don't think that I have, do I? Development. Yeah, I updated it to TypeScript recently. So I'm excited to return to that soon. And a couple of blog posts where I try to go into what the premise of the language is and a bit about the design and conceptual basis. Project architecture, that is one of the front-end Apollo Jot is kind of the most opinionated. It's one of the most opinionated projects that I have. It's kind of like a representation of where I think a project might start and has some opinions about why certain code would be in certain places. So it's a pretty good conversation piece. I'm using it for my Boonland project, so stay tuned. And then React D3, which isn't very representative of my current coding style at all. It was kind of working through understanding how D3, which has a very I'm not sure what the paradigm it supports is. Object-oriented. Well, it's not necessarily that it supports a specific paradigm. It's just that the constructs have a different kind of relationship that's a lot more object-oriented. Procedural kind of. Yeah. So project-wise, I spent the most time on a PHP framework and a programming language I developed. I've also recently taken a closer look at project architecture and data visualization. My primary goal in any role is contributing to an ecosystem of sustainable growth and development. I'm open to work immediately and I'm authorized to work in the United States as a citizen. Regards, Sam Washington. Say, why does the am like Sam Washington? I always go by Sam Washington in these contexts. Because, yeah, I just like to be I want to be the same person in pretty much all contexts, and that's just an easy way to do that. I have a little bit about my experience, very summarized from my resume. Projects, yeah, you can see, and then you can click through my portfolio. If I had a couple buttons, but yeah, this is meant to show that I know how to represent different things in different forms. Yeah, this used to be a form. So let's look at the updated version for Curology. Same thing, about me already, and then already viewed, because when I send this cover letter to companies, I update it based on the state, if they've seen it or not. So that's the same thing. Tic-tac-toe was because of the coding interview. One of them was to see if I could make tic-tac-toe. I think that I got very close, except for like one thing that was kind of off. I think it was the positioning of the CSS. I got the functionality, but I didn't actually get the CSS positioning the way that I wanted it to with the hover. If the game works. And then I have the skim mode, which I thought was pretty cool. Skim mode and read mode. Skim mode makes it so that you only see the relevant information. So you can kind of just like look at the stuff. And then read mode means that you can look at everything that you want to. One of the main things about design is minding visual hierarchy. So if they didn't really care, I had that option for them. And if they did care, then I had that option for them as well. And you can still read it if you're in skim mode, but you see the values that I meant to highlight. I updated this 3 times for them, and I sent it to them each time that I did, and it was shared between the team. My favorite parts. Opportunities to engage with coworkers and exchange ideas or experiences are very moralizing to me, and one of the most exciting aspects of this team. Each team member has been very approachable and supportive, and they've all nodded to healthy communication structures. The systems, structures, and rhythms we've touched on indicate that dimensional quality is organizationally supported. It's been refreshing. Overall, the entire process has felt thoughtfully designed and dimensionally cohesive. Everyone I've met so far has been good vibes and made it feel like the job listing, which is now down, and careers page represent consistent values. Notes: well-informed product design, customer empathy, research teams, analytics. Thoughtful architecture and DX, developer experience. System design, functional programming mentioned. I updated this after each stage. Tests and audits. Work life and career balance. I mentioned the coworkers, discussion and education, balance as a value, and consistent values. The job listing. So different snippets from different places. Intro. One of the greatest rewards for an engineer is creating, this is literally copy and pasted, I just bolded the parts that stood out to me. Effective, accessible to everyone, confident in their own skin, part health tech startup, part skincare lab. Enabling growth, interesting projects, develops diverse skills, collaborate closely, product management, impactful change in addition, latest technologies, developing, enable that growth, continue to accelerate us, culture and empathy, truly care about each other, empathy into our core values, people feel heard, supported, and respected. Yeah, so that was the difficult part because diverse skills. On the careers page, humility, problems for all angles, candid feedback, own and discuss our mistakes, genuinely excited to help, we pitch in, eye for detail, champion inclusivity in everything we do, from building strong teams to crafting human-centered products. We believe that diverse voices fuel innovation, and we can't wait to hear yours. So that turned out to be a lie. Just like a bald-faced lie. It did. And I'm not, yeah, honestly, I don't even know what else to say about that. I'm going to stop that for now. I went through the cover letter. Oh, maybe I should click into one of the links. Careers page. Hi there, we're Curology. Because everyone deserves to feel at home in their own skin. And then they mentioned some articles about being a great place to work. What do we care about? And then I mentioned these here. What we care about. Make time for play. Yeah, so I don't even know how many of these people are still at the company, to be honest. PTO and paid parental leave. So they say that they have 3 weeks minimum of PTO policy. I'm not sure if I mentioned it in this video, but they fired me 2 weeks before my 90-day evaluation. I had never taken a day of PTO off. Yeah, so that's that.